All right, so we're looking at we're going through Chris Bray's book on Backgammon to Win, and we're going really pretty much well beyond that book. And we're now looking, and we're focusing on the cube. We're looking at reference positions now. If you recall, there were some what I call analytic tools. The best one being the Keith count, which is for pure races, which is as accurate as anything that you'll find in backgammon, as far as I can tell. And then another analytic approach, which is the Pratt position race threats, which was developed by, well, the idea of position race threats has been around a while. In fact, Chris Bray talks about it in his book. But the system that I've taught was actually conceived of by David Presser, who's one of the best cube masters around. And then we've looked at the first rule of 4, which is the holding game, and that's a very accurate reference position. And we saw how you could move things around a little bit and how it changed things. And then we looked at sort of beyond that, the high anchor games, high anchor holding games. And now we're going to look at the second rule of 4. Reference positions and look at a few variations on those. And just to be a little bit confusing, the reference position for the rule of 4 is actually violates the name. So the rule of 4 stands for, well, the situation that we're talking about now is that if you have been, after you have made a late hit on your opponent, and your opponent has borne off some checkers, and probably would have won easily or even gammoned you, except for the fact that you got the late hit. The question then is, well, when do you redouble? When's a good time to redouble? And so the answer is given by the rule of 4, and for the most part, the answer is that when the difference between your checkers off and your opponent's checkers off is 4, and you've closed him out and he's on the bar, that's when you redouble. Now, it turns out that the reference position, the basic reference position actually shows that it's 5, but this is kind of a unique situation. So here we've got black has borne off 5 checkers. He got hit, he's on the bar. Yellow below hasn't borne any checkers off. So there's the difference between black's number black has off and yellow is off is 5. And so at this point, this is the point where you redouble and a take. These are a little bit tricky because it goes away quickly. Your chance to redouble and the point at which you take goes away quickly. So if you wait till there are 3 off, it's too late. It's a pass. And if you're not there yet, if you're not there yet, generally these are still redoubles and takes. But once you start getting checkers off, then it's too late. So that's the reference position.
I don't understand why you call it rule of 4, Gary, when it's 5.
Well, because at all other times, this is the ideal position. But if you're not in here, I think this is probably a redouble take. But if you have something like this, every other time, other than this position. So, for instance, if you have, let's look at where you've got 6 checkers off. So here now it's 6 to 5. This is no redouble. Now we've got 6 to 4, and I must have got something wrong there.
Got 7 of
Oh,
black.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Now it's 6 to 4. And this is, this is the redouble. So, and this is the redouble, and this is the take point. So that's why it's called rule of 4. It's just that, in the original position, it just so happens that this is 5. But every other so when it's 5 off to 0 off, then that's this. But and so maybe the better reference position would be something like this. Or no, I'm sorry, this. And so maybe that's a better reference position that I would show you. But the idea is that, you know, 4 checkers off is the key to remember. Some other key things here are that if black, for instance, has left an open point, that's going to give it an advantage to white. And so here, let's see. Here, this is going to be this is a pass for black now, even though the difference of checkers is 4. So this open point is a liability to black, and it's worth, you know, it's worth a checker, I think. I think this is still a redouble. That's still a pass here. So those are important things to remember, because you're often you're playing an ace point game and you hit black and he doesn't come in. It doesn't make the ace point. So in that case, you're gonna double a little bit sooner. So let's look at some variations. So, okay, well, this is just 6 checkers off to 0. And this is not a double yet. So, yeah, it is very sensitive about that. It's almost always exactly 4. Again, in this position, it's 5, but for the most part, if it's 4, and if it's the difference is less than 4, then it's a pass. And if you're not there yet, it's usually a take. Some other variations. Yeah, so here we're at 5, and this is no redouble yet. Again, it's just that one very unique situation where it's 4 off versus that. So we're with the ideal position. So, you know, here we're at 5. We don't get there yet. We take 1 off. This is still close. Well, the problem with this, the distribution of checkers matters too. I would probably double this anyway, and it's a little bit wrong. But if you have a better distribution where you're not going to leave a shot, like this one, this 4 point is a little bit better. Now the rule of 4 applies. Your 4 checkers off, and now it's time to double. It's just that, you know, this is a little bit awkward, so you might wait. You might wait a roll for this one. I haven't found it worthwhile to study all these different variations, other than just to be aware of them but again, I wouldn't worry about this. I would probably double this, and I would be a little bit off. But a lot of people, unless they know this rule, are going to drop anyway. So that's another consideration. Oh, we just did this one, and this is no redouble. But if you root here or even here, that's a redouble. This is also a redouble. And the idea is that you're not gonna leave any shots next time. So you're gonna take some checkers off. So let's look at some other variations. Okay, so we looked at this one. There's actually 6 off, but black has a hole. The gap is worth probably a checker off, more or less. One way to think about it. So this is 5, 1 checker off. So this is when we take the checker, give up a checker for the gap. So now the rule of 4 becomes a rule of 5 because of the gap. See another variation. So here we're at 7 off versus 3 off. Again, rule of 4 applies. This is going to be redoubled. If we took another checker off, it's a pass. Oh, nope, it's still a take, because I get, oh, well, yeah, it's a take because we've got, we're likely to leave a shot next time. But if you don't have it, a shot, if you're not going to have a chance of leaving a shot, then it's a take. So that's actually a good one to remember too. Again, that's a variation on on the rule of 4. If if your distribution isn't very good and you're likely to leave a shot, that's probably worth an extra checker off too. Okay, so that's pretty much on the rule of 4. It's very easy to remember. You got to be a little bit aware of the distributional issues and the gaps that black might have. We didn't look any, but if Gap has an open ace and an open deuce point, then it's even you double even sooner, because black may have wastage coming around. I didn't really look at that, but now let's look at the other side of this, where okay, we got hit, and black closed us out, and but we're still certainly have the advantage here. We have 11 checkers off, and so the question is, well, is this a double and a take? It's no it's not for blacks. It's our issue. Should we redouble this? Because we have the big advantage, and at this point, with 4 checkers, one on the bar, 2 to go, that's a redouble and a take. If you have 2, it's a redouble and a pass. And if you have 4, it's no redouble, even though you have the advantage. Just one thing that's useful in terms of a reference position it's useful to remember is that what's your percentage winning depending on how many checkers you have off. So for instance, here we've got 10 checkers off. If we had 8 checkers off, and 10 checkers off was worth 67%. Well, if we had 8 checkers off, it's roughly 50%. And so this is a reference position that I remember. I know that if I have 8 checkers off and I got hit and I'm close out, it's a 50-50 game at that point. Also, each checker is worth roughly 8%. So if we took one off here, sorry about that. Did I take one off? 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 off. That's 50%. If we took another one off, that's going to be about we're now at 40, 50. Well, I guess this is more like 7%. But I remember it's roughly 8%. And if you take another checker off, we've got 10 off. That's going to be 34%, something like that. Okay, yeah, 34% for black. So that's roughly how it goes if you want to think of those percentages. Okay, it's another variation. Yeah, and here it doesn't really matter. I guess oftentimes if you have the advantage, you can double early. So for instance, if we had 2 off, we know that this is a pass, and so you might as well double right away. Well, let's see if this is. Yeah, there's no real penalty for not doubling, so you can wait, but you might as well double right away. And here, I don't think this is a take. Yeah. So again, this is the representation, it's still a take, but black's distribution is just not quite as good. Okay, the other situation related to these are if you got the second checker off. Now, obviously, getting that second checker off is a big advantage to blacks, because even well, look at this one. The rule of 4 with 1 checker off becomes the rule, what I would call the rule of 10 with 2 checkers off. So, and again, with the ideal distribution on the top, it's actually rule of 11, but for a practical matter, it's 10. So again, if you put your opponent on the bar with 2 checkers, and then the difference is 10, that's the point. That's the point which it's a double and a take. And if you have less than that, it's a pass. And if you've got the difference is more, you're still favored, but it's a take. And then if you get a couple checkers off, this is a take, and then yeah, this is exactly 10. So that's a take, and if you take another one off, this is going to be a pass. So again, the rule of 4 becomes the rule of 10 when you have 2 checkers off. Okay, so a variation of this. Oh yeah, so here we've got 12. If the rule of 10 is right, we're off by 12. This is still a take, so it's very close. And again, this is now it's 11. It's still, this is not a better position because you're probably going to leave a shot next time, so you don't get it off. But if you do get this in a better position, we're now 13 against 9, so that's now 9. This should be a pass. Yeah, it is a pass. All right, another variation of this. And here we've got 13 versus 3. So this is 10. This should be a double and a take. And we take one off, and it should be a pass. We had one here, and it's not a double yet, I don't think. Yeah, no redouble. So that's kind of how sensitive these are. You know, it's you've got like one shot as you're coming in and around to get it exactly right. Another variation. I guess it did. So this is what have we got? 12 versus 2. So this is 10. So this is similar to the one. So this is a redouble and a take. Again, rule difference in checkers is 10, 2 on the bar. That's the exact point. You know, we take one off, and this should be a pass. It is. We had one on, and we've only got a difference of 11, and that's no double. Well, actually, this is barely a redouble. So this is a situation where you actually had a little bit of room to do it. Here, when we've got, now here black came in, so this is a little bit trickier. The difference is 9. I'm sorry, no, the difference is it's 11 versus 3 off, so the difference is 8. Actually, I don't remember this representation. I looked at it. So this is a redouble and a pass. So I think this was a take. Yeah, so you get, I think my conclusion was, yeah, this rarely comes up. So because usually you're going to double before you get to this position. But if black has come in, you get, it's kind of, I guess it's worth kind of an extra checker. So instead of extra 2 checkers maybe. So instead of difference in 10, you could go to a difference of 8. All right, and that is it. We pretty much blew past that, but it's a very simple rule. It happens a lot, so it's really useful to remember. And actually, there were, you know, we went over 3 reference positions: the rule of 4, the rule of 10, and then the idea that you know, if you've taken 8 checkers off, and your opponent has hit you and closed you out, that's a 50-50 game at that point. And that's useful to remember. We'll get into at different match scores. That's you know, that may matter. And then of course the you know, if you're the one that got hit, you're getting redoubled. Or then you should redouble if you've got 11 checkers off to none, and your checkers are pretty well safe on the ace point. So a lot of reference positions in this one. But the rule of 4 is the one that happens most often, and I use that all the time, and it's really worth remembering. So, any questions? Boy, we really went through that this fast. All right, well, that is it. I will stop recording, and we can go on to the Chouette